Hi everybody, welcome to the Manifold channel. Today we're going to have some fun with the wonderful new erase command. That's a new part of Manifold System Release 9. We're looking at Release 9 right now on the desktop, and all this works in the free Manifold viewer as well. What erase does is that it eliminates parts of areas, lines, or points that are that underlie areas that we can draw. And we can draw those areas interactively, or we can use existing areas. So let's use this map that we have of Asia. It's got 3 layers in it. We're only working with one of the layers right now. It shows countries in Southeast Asia as areas. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Create Area here, and just freehand I'll draw a triangular shaped area, and then I'll click Erase. And I want to erase in the Asia layer. Cool. Click OK, and you can see it erase that. If there were any lines or points that transected that area that I drew, those would have been erased as well. And if we want, we can restrict the action of that command to only selected areas. So let's select Laos there. I control-click to select it, and let's create another area. And I'll create another triangular shaped area like that. Click right-click and choose Erase. And this time I'll check the Use Selection Only box and click OK. And as you can see, it erased only from selected objects. Since there was only one object selected, that's the part that was erased. Let's Control-Shift-Click that to deselect that. And we can also use arbitrarily complicated area drawings. For example, we can click, click, click. Let's create a multi-part area here, and I'll shift-click here to stop that branch. Now I'll click another island here. As you know, if you're into GIS, that multi-branched areas can have island shapes, and there's another one. And let's click here, 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 and shift-click there. I'll shift-click there. And now here, let's create a hole in it, which will create a kind of a donut-shaped area object. So we'll have one island here, one island there, and the donut-shaped object here. I'll right-click to choose Erase, and we'll uncheck the Use Selection Only. The Erase dialog is persistent. It remembers what you've done last, so if you're doing a lot of repetitive things over and over, it remembers those. And there we've unclicked all that. All right. So what's with these other 2 areas that we have here, other 2 layers we have here? One is called Asia Square. That's just a square-shaped object there. And there's a buffer-shaped object here that's a round buffer, and those have partial transparency, so you can see what's underneath them if you turn on the other layers. And what I'll do is I'll use the buffer area, and alt-click that to pick it, and there's the path that we're going to use. And we're going to use this buffer area to cut a circular-shaped hole through the Asia Square layer. Click Erase, and the layer that I want to choose is Asia Square. Click OK, and there. I'll turn the buffer layer off, so you can see we've cut a nice circular hole in there. And now if we like, we can use this Asia Square object, which has a hole in it, to cut yet another hole into all the different countries that are part of the Asia layer. So I'll click the Asia Square tab to move the focus there. I'll click the Asia Square object, right-click, choose Erase, and this is all going to be in the Asia drawing, the Asia layer that we're going to cut. Click OK. And there, we've deleted those shapes. So you can see you can do arbitrarily complex editing using the Erase command. You can draw new areas or use existing areas. And let's use another map here, which I've already opened off screen. This is all part of the same project. What's kind of cool about Manifold is that you can have multiple projects, multiple maps, that is multiple layer structures using potentially hundreds or thousands of layers. This one, for example, has a lot of layers here. They're all grouped inside this layer group. And those all work together at once. Let's dock this. I'm going to right-click and dock that. Whereas ArcGIS Pro or QGIS, you're only limited to one structure that has a bunch of layers in it. With Manifold, you can have unlimited numbers, and layers can participate in different structures. What we have here is a drawing of a house. This is a kitchen area for a house, and this is a CAD drawing. Let's go to the Firebrick location. And this layer here called Firebrick, and with using this kind of burgundy color hatch pattern, shows fire-resistant masonry, which is could be part of a fireplace or could be part of a flue for an exhaust. And this layer here called vents has that object right there. And what I want to do is I want to use the vents object, the vents area, to cut out an open spot in the Firebrick. To do that, I'll click the vents layer. I'll click the vents object, right-click and choose Erase. And I want to erase in the Firebrick layer. And there, that's done. That's automatically been chopped out. And you can see how that's done. And now if we like, what we can do is we can go further into this and I'll interactively chop part of this area out. Let's zoom in. You can see even in the middle of an editing command you can zoom in and out because Manifold is cool that way. Let's snap to grid, and let's make the snap parameters for the grid, let's make them 0.05 and 0.05, so that's about 5 centimeter grid. Click OK. Now when I snap the cursor, I'll snap to the exact 5 centimeter locations. This is a house in Europe, so it uses a metric system. And we're going to erase that portion right there. Erase the firebrick layer. Remember, it's the last layer I used in there. So now what I've done is I've erased part of the firebrick layer, and I've opened up not just where the vent was, but also an open spot through the firebrick to where we have the cooktop for the kitchen counter. There's other cool things we can do. For example, when erase works, erase just basically is the path. And when we erase using an existing layer, like we're going to use this vents layer now, I'm going to alt-click that vents layer. We don't have to use the path just the way it stands. I mean, what we could do is we can actually move it around. So, for example, I can move that path around to, say, here. And I have snapping turned on, so snapping to those 5 centimeter gaps. Let's say I want to put another vent like right here on this side, because maybe this is a utility room over here, and that's going to be a vent for a heater or something like that. This is as if I've moved the area, but I haven't actually moved it. I'm just borrowing, as it were, the path from it. I can right-click, choose Erase, and that's going to chop a hole in the firebrick. Let's do that again. Let's open up another vent, and Alt-click the Vents layer again, and let's put this one, say, right about there. Let's see if there was an accessory vent over here, so we can do that like that. Click Erase from the firebrick layer, and that's right there. And let's say I want to make another erasure. Let's say here in this inner wall, maybe there's a bathroom or something else that's planned on this side of it. So we'll click. I'll click on the vents layer, and now let's move that down in here. And this time when I erase, I'm going to choose a different layer. And let's see, what's the layer that is? That's probably the inner wall for the first floor. I'm guessing it's going to be that. And I click OK. Yeah, there it is. So you can see we can recycle the same area object that we've borrowed and use it to erase in many other different locations. All right, let's do one more quick demonstration. Here's yet another map that I've created. This is all parts in the same project. The 3 maps you see right here. Let's shift-click on that to dock it real quick. And what this does is it has 2 layers. It has a countries layer that shows Canada in the north and the United States to the south. And then it shows the Great Lakes as an area object like that. If we turn off the countries layer, you can see that that's what those are. And what I've done is I've opened the countries drawing in its own window right here, and I've opened the Great Lakes drawing in its own window there. And if you zoom to fit the countries layer, you can see what that countries layer is. Let's go back. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Great Lakes area to cut out a hole for where the Great Lakes should fit into the countries layer. So you know how the drill. You know the drill by now. We're going to alt-click the Great Lakes object, and then we're going to choose Erase, and then here we're going to choose Countries. Click OK, and bang! It immediately cuts that out. And you can see how, as it was cut out of the Countries layer here, and this window here that also shows the Countries layer was automatically updated. So that's kind of neat and sophisticated. Now you may be wondering, what was that bit about? What were those other options that we saw in Erase? And for example, let's say we want to cut out everything in the countries layer. And let's zoom this out a bit so you can see kind of where that is, like that. And suppose we wanted to zoom out everything except the region immediately around the Great Lakes areas. Well, that's easy to do. Let's choose Create Area, and like I said, let's choose Create Area, and I want to snap to bearing. And let's start the first snap position right here and turn snapping on so that you can see that as I move the mouse, it now snaps to an even 45 degrees. And let's go down here, right about there, and let's go right around here. And I'm drawing an approximate square, not perfectly because I'm doing this freehand. Click there, and now what I want to do is I want to click Erase. And in the Erase dialog, I want to keep the inner part, which means erase everything except the inner part. So click OK, and bang, it erases everything from the countries layer. You can see all the rest of Canada and the United States have disappeared, except the portion that we wanted to keep in the area that we drew. Well, that's a quick look at how to use Erase. As you can see, it's like the other editing commands where it works with paths, and you can use existing areas or areas that you draw, and you can use those in a very flexible way. Everything else works even while you're in the middle of editing. For example, you can pan and zoom and all that other good stuff. It automatically will wipe out any regions of areas, lines, or points which happen to be intersected by the areas that we draw. And it automatically will make any adjustments if you're working in different coordinate systems for the different layers. All that happens, Alt Manifold takes care of all that for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Tell your friends about Manifold. Give it a try in the free viewer. Thanks for watching, and goodbye from Manifold Land. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.